Hey everyone, Jen O'Sullivan here, and we are on lesson 2 of the book club. I hope you guys are enjoying this series. Alright, so lesson 2, we're just going to get right into it, is the essence of essential oils. Now, what does that really mean? Alright, one of the things that I think a lot of people are like, oh, are these snake oils, do they really work? Like, what are they? How are they made? Like, none of it makes any sense. You're buying this tiny little bottle, and it's so expensive. Okay, so it is like considered the life force of the plant. So when you take a look at, say, us, like our blood is our life force. So we'll package that up and use it in ERs, you know, to help people. It's not blood to the plant, but it's like that. And what that means is that essential oils work in much the same way that blood works for us, right? So what it does is it helps regulate things. It helps get certain gets certain things to the plant that it needs. It acts sometimes as a pheromone, like an attractant or a detractant. It works in ways to like regulate the plant's systems. So oftentimes we will say, you know, when a plant is doing something for itself, it has similar abilities for us, right? And so what's fascinating is these essential oils. When we look at plants, right? Plants are on this planet to help us breathe, right? And to help us with nutrients. But their essential oil, right? There's like 3 facets to plants. Not only do they help with our oxygen, they help with our nutrients if we eat them, certain ones, right? But the essential oils actually help with our own hormones, endocrine system. It helps with all sorts of things, from just like our skin to like our emotions. I mean, it runs the gamut. It's everything. So it's interesting to look at plants as this like 3-part partner with us. So when we look at essential oils, they're the things that are distilled out, and they're not the liquid part. They're not the oily part. And that's what some people get kind of confused by. They're this sort of oleoresin part of the plant, or, you know, it's like this kind of thing that goes right into your cells, right? Their molecule size are under 300 atomic mass units, which are really, really small. Whereas if you look at a carrier oil, it's much thicker than that. It can't actually go through into your blood cell, in through your cells. So essential oils have the ability to break through the cell membrane, whereas like other things like carrier oils don't. Okay, so that's basically what essential oils. I actually started using essential oils in 2007. I had a random person show up at one of our business. I was a photographer for many years, and I was part of one of those networking groups. And one of the random women there who just kind of signed up for the group used oils, and I thought they were nail polishes. I'm like, what are those? And then I'm like, what? And they're how much? You know? And then when I learned that you only need 1 drop, and each bottle contains anywhere from 100 to, you know, upwards of 300 drops, depending on the size of bottle that you get, I was like, oh, that's fascinating. And so I started learning in 2007 all of the different ways to use them, and I like fell in love. It was my very first entry into this lifestyle shift that I started on in 2007, right before I had my son. And oftentimes when we start really considering life and our health and our purpose, we start to realize that we have to make some changes. And that was for me. I was eating fast food every day with my husband. We were gaining so much weight. We were not feeling well. And I decided we wanted to get pregnant, and we just were freaking out, honestly. Like, how do you bring another human into this world full of just massive toxins? So essential oils was my first entry point, and Gentle Baby was actually one of my very first like wow oils, because again, I was having a baby, so I was super excited about that. But like lemon and peppermint and joy and all of these interesting oils for emotional support just fascinated me. Purification, I've been using like forever. So all of this is to say that essential oils are not placebo effect. They're not snake oils. They're actually true from a scientific perspective too. You can look it up online and see all sorts of PubMed articles and different government articles that talk about essential oils and their their properties and their uses. Okay, so the other counterpart to essential oils, though, are carrier oils, and carrier oils are the oily oil. So if I were to say put essential oils on my hands and then like wipe it on my shirt, if the oil itself was clear, meaning it wasn't blue tansy or lemon, like any oil that has a color to it, it won't stain. Whereas in a carrier oil, generally speaking, carrier oils will stain. In the case of jojoba oil, that is technically a wax, and so that won't stain. But carrier oils are sort of like the holding power, right? So oftentimes I'll say case it in with carrier. Sometimes you start with carrier oil because that becomes sort of like a primer, like your paint. It's like a foundation to put your oils on, and then I case it in with more carrier just to kind of help it stay on me longer. That's a really good way of using carrier oils. But other times people use carrier oils because some oils are spicy. They feel a little bit hot. So on brand new skin, like children under 6 or babies, you've got to use a lot of carrier oil. So we're going to get into dilution and all of that later, which is really fun. You'll enjoy that, but that's not lesson 2. One of the things that I wanted to just go over is the toxic load in your home. And that is why I got started, was this whole idea of, wow, just the bleach that is in my house, if it spills and my baby crawls through it, the baby will die, right? That freaked me out. And there's tons of studies on that. And to, you know, the whole scare of our detergents and how those little pods have killed tons of infants because they've eaten them. And it's like, what in the world? Why are we okay with having this many toxins in our home? And, you know, there's been studies that show that women who work from home are more likely to develop cancer than women who don't work from home. It's pretty shocking. So, you know, reading certain things, when you look at like NIOSH, which is the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, they did a study, a pretty long study, that concluded that they found 884 chemicals that were tested. They tested close to 3,000 chemicals, and this study concluded that like almost 900 of them were toxic. Okay, these are readily available chemicals that we have products in our home, and none of them are actually tested or studied. There's over 3 million chemicals known, and there's 3,000 new chemicals being developed each year, and less than 1%, just about 1% of all of those chemicals have ever been tested. The rest of them are all into our societies, and nobody knows what they're doing to us. And we wonder at all of the disease and sicknesses and strange random things that are happening to our kids now that never were there before. And I don't buy it when somebody says, yeah, they were there, we just didn't know what to diagnose them as. I'm like, when I was in high school, maybe one kid had those issues, and now it seems like every class has 1 or 2 of those kids that, you know, need more special attention. And it's not anything that they're needing special needs, like they don't need that much attention, but these are kids now diagnosed and medicated with issues that just weren't around before. And it makes me wonder, our endocrine system, right? Our endocrine system is the #1 issue in our lives that really drive and dictate everything from our emotions to our growth habits to our sleep and wake habits to all of our hormone and energy and everything. That's your endocrine system. And we know the Endocrine Society has tested, and there are known endocrine disruptors, and the majority of the known endocrine disruptors are all these synthetic toxic chemicals. So when you understand that these are toxic chemicals, and we're basically bombarding our children with these toxic chemicals, that's where I get frightened, okay? And that's where this is so important, that we are going to choose vitality, that we're going to choose vitality for our families, that we're going to stop the madness, we're going to say no more. I mean, how many of you guys are like, over it, no more, I'm not interested in this whole bombardment to my family and me, because you're basically killing your kid's endocrine system. Now, in our state, the state of California, we have mandatory immunization. Now, this is a hot topic, and some of you guys disagree with me on this, but the immunizations of today, the ones that we got as kids when I was younger, were not the same, okay? They now are filled with toxic chemicals. These are synthetics. These are things that our bodies don't know what to do with, and the immunizations are filled with them. And so we didn't immunize Jacob for that very reason, amongst some others, but that was a big one, and I'm not interested in massively disrupting his endocrine system, because that's exactly what they do. So now we have this mandatory law that you need to be immunized in order to go to school. He made the cutoff by 1 year where he was already in a school that goes through 8th grade. So he can stay in through 8th grade until he transfers to another school, right? So when he goes to high school, he won't be able to go to high school. So I will either become a homeschool mom or the kid will have to get immunized. Now, I've been talking with Jacob at length about this, and he really wants to go to high school. And I'm like, you know, I'm trying to educate him because he's sort of getting old enough to make that decision, although, you know, possibly not. But I'm like, that is massive endocrine disrupting, and we're going to have to do it over the course of a year, and you're going to have to go in and get a whole lot of shots to update yourself, and some of them multiple times through, you know, every 6 months. And we're basically going to attack your endocrine system. So that means maybe you won't grow taller. Maybe you'll end up being stunted on your growth because that's your endocrine system. Maybe you'll end up with a ton of acne, and maybe you'll get emotionally just wrecked. That happens. You know, again, look into your endocrine system, you guys. It literally rules everything in your life. You might end up with insomnia. You know, these are all things that toxic, you know, you can get this acute toxicity through anything. And if you're putting shots of toxins into your system, again, this is not a far stretch. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just trying to tell you real world situation that I'm dealing with, that I'm kind of thinking, how can we as a society either make them change those immunizations so that they're not synthetics, and not aborted fetal matter. That's another big one, but that's a different topic. But how can we say, you know, we're not interested in pumping our children full of endocrine disruptors? Because that's, to me, worse than having to homeschool my kid. So you'll be seeing me probably pulling my hair out, homeschooling my child in 4 years. But that's okay. Like, I'm willing to do that because I would rather do that than let my child suffer for the rest of his life with endocrine issues. So that said, this concludes lesson number 2, knowing that essential oils are pure. There's nothing toxic about them, okay? Obviously, anything in large doses can be toxic, so we have to be aware of that. Even water can be toxic if you use too much of it, right? If you drink too much of it. So use your mind, use your common sense. 1 drop is a serving. We're going to move slowly with essential oils, but fearlessly, okay? And we're just going to move forward. And I just know we want to choose vitality. So I'm going to give you a quick water infused recipe from this lesson. And all it is taking 1 or 2 drops of lemon vitality. It's the same oil that is in every lemon bottle of essential oil from Young Living, from lemon. But lemon vitality is approved by the FDA to be consumed. And so 1 drop in your water will change your life. I'm not kidding. If you've never tried it before, I want you to try it because it's a big deal. It really helps you just feel clean. Your cells will just be happy. Okay, that's the best way I can describe it. Whenever anyone has ever tried this for the first time, they're like, whoa, it just feels good. And it tastes great. So now your water tastes good. And please don't worry about thinking essential oils are going to burn your esophagus. That is a myth. And Young Living lemon essential oil is very mild and will not harm you. If you're wanting to do a test on this, go ahead and take a strawberry and drip a drop of lemon essential oil onto that strawberry and see what happens. The strawberry looks better and cleaner, and it's shiny and happy, and none of it has disintegrated. Okay, so that's oftentimes what people get concerned with, that these are powerful and how could you swallow them like that? You guys, I'm not made out of plastic. I'm made out of an organic material, right? As is lemon. So it works in harmony with us, okay? All right, so I hope this was helpful for you guys, and we'll see you guys on lesson 3. Take care. Bye.